Halos 1 taon at kalahati na po tayo sa pandemyang ito. Sa pangyayaring ito, tingnan po natin saan po tayo dinadala ng Espiritu Santo. God is not absent in this situation. God is leading us. Where does He lead us? Let us try to see some good things that came out of the pandemic. Yes, there are good things that come out of the pandemic. Let us see them, analyze them, be conscious of them, and promote them. Hindi po sana masayang ang panahon ito. Hindi lang ito isang panahon ng pag-aantay na pagkatapos babalik ulit tayo sa ating pinanggalingan. Hindi na tayo babalik sa ating pinanggalingan. May bago ng kalagayan ang pupuntahan natin. Sana itong bagong kalagayan ito ay mas mabuti sa pinanggalingan natin 1.5 years ago. Kaya mga kapatid, pakinggan po natin at pagnilayan natin ang mga bagong bagay na ginagawa ng Diyos sa atin sa pamamagitan nitong pandemic. Let us reflect on where the Spirit is leading us during this time of the pandemic. We are already more than 15 months, more than 1 year in this pandemic. What would be God's message to us during this time? Let us be guided by some biblical texts. The first text I will take is Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 to 2. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was without form or shape, with darkness over the abyss, and a mighty wind sweeping over the waters. The beginning was chaos, no direction, no form, with darkness. Now, in this chaos, God was not absent. The Spirit of God was blowing, but not within the chaos, over the abyss, over the chaos. He is not part of the chaos. In fact, it is the Spirit of God that gave order to this chaos. So in our situation, that many things are chaotic, we don't know where things are going and how things are happening, and there are so many new developments that we never imagined before. We never imagined before that there would be variants. There would be new forms of the COVID-19 coming among us. But now it's happening. God is there. The Spirit is blowing over it. And in John chapter 3 verse 8, we are told by Jesus, "The wind blows where it wills. You can hear the sound it makes, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit." The wind blows. Where is it blowing into? In what direction? We don't know. But then, we have to little by little discern where God is leading us. So we do not know where things are going, but we believe that God is here, not within the chaos, but is moving in our times. And we need to read the signs of the times. Jesus rebuked his contemporaries when he said in Matthew chapter 16 verse 3, "You know how to judge the appearances of the sky, but you cannot judge the signs of the times." Let us ask the Holy Spirit to guide us, to open our eyes, where the Lord may be leading us in this situation. And surely, He is leading us to salvation. In Revelation chapter 21 verse 1, we are told by John, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea was no more." There will be new things to come, and this pandemic, this chaos of the pandemic will bring about a new order. The old will pass away. Pope Francis many times said, "We do not come out of a crisis the same. We come out new, either better or worse." Let us reflect for a while. Is there something new that happened in my life during this pandemic? And what new things have I adopted during this year because of the pandemic? Is that something new, better, or worse than before? Am I better or worse than before the pandemic? My dear friends, let us not dream of going back to what we were before. Don't just wait that things will go back to what was there. It will not be the same. New things will come out, and hopefully for the better. We are familiar with the saying of Jesus, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you." What should we look for during this pandemic? If we seek what is bad, we will find many bad things, many worse things. But if we look for what is good, we will also find a lot of good things that this pandemic has brought about. Even in our times of difficulties, there are always rays of light. Let us look for the good things. The Spirit blows where it wills, and the Spirit is blowing into something good. Saint Paul wrote to the Philippians, "Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things, then the God of peace will be with you." Let us focus our attention. Let us even force ourselves to think positive, that the God of peace will be with us. This is not that we deceive ourselves, but we choose to learn what is good and pay attention to it. We will have more peace, and we will have a lot of hope, even in this time. So it depends on what we look for. And I suggest during this talk, let us look for what is good. Let us look for what is positive, where the Spirit is leading us during this time. There are signs of the workings of the Spirit in our age. Let us recognize them and promote them. I will give you some of them. They are not exhaustive, but hopefully they can trigger us to find other things where the Spirit is blowing for salvation in this time of the pandemic. First, in our times, people are thirsting for God and for the spiritual. And this is evidenced by the many online offerings on spiritual things. There is a great demand for spiritual matters. That's why these offers are being done, because there's a great demand. People are looking for something that they can cling to. And they see that they could not cling to material things. They easily disappeared. So people are really looking for spiritual. More than attending our masses and religious services online, and more are attending than they were before during the face-to-face period. And I'm sure when we go back to the face-to-face attendance of the Mass, we will not get the same attendees that we are having now online. In our own churches, when we have ordinary Sunday Mass, we can have 500, 1,000 people at most attending the Mass. But when you see those that are following us online, they can be as many as 3,000, 4,000. Our churches could not even accommodate them, but they are there following us. In our talks, in our recollections, how many do we get? 50, 100, 200 people? But in our online talks, they can be 1,000 following us. And who knows, later on, when they go back to our talks that are already there in the internet, they can be accessed once more. So there is really a thirst for God during this time. Is this not something where the Spirit is leading us? And people are not only thirsting for spiritual things, but people are more demanding and more choosy now for the religious talks and services that they attend. This is a challenge to have better connection, to have better presentation, to have better content on our part. So we are being challenged by the Spirit to be constantly innovative and improve our online presentations. If we do nothing or lag behind, people will leave us. And now it is so easy for people to turn us off and move on to another parish, or even move on to another religion, to other faiths, because we have not offered them the best that we can offer them. Soon also, our collections will greatly depend on online portals. We have not that many collections now for those people who come to attend our own masses. But we can compensate with the online donations. But people will give if they see that they are being spiritually nourished. So as we take care of our territorial parishes, we should also take care of our online parishes. We have now our online community. People who follow us, and not even within our territorial parish, our territorial area, but from many places. But when they see that what we offer is something that is nourishing, then they will remain, then they will give. That's why the challenge is to create a sense of belonging in our online portals. So our online connection is now an important service that we can offer. And I say people are demanding. People want something that they can participate in and something that they can be nourished by. Another thing that we can notice that this time of the pandemic is an opportunity to rejuvenate the church. Rejuvenate the church, to give young faces in the church. Now we realize suddenly that many of our church workers and volunteers are already elderly. Yes, they have been serving the parishes, our communities, for so many years. They've stayed there, they became a fixture. But now suddenly, that the elderly cannot come, we find many of our own services without parish volunteers and workers. This is the time to bring in the young people. I'm happy to see that when I go around celebrating masses, visiting parishes, I would see new and younger faces. Get the young and let them be involved in new ministries. We can now create new ministries. SOCO ministry, sanitation ministry, health ministry, Marthas for cooking, for the feeding program, marshals for physical distancing, lay ministers for the community and for the elderly, one good vote for the election, even those who take care of our community pantries. New ministries can come out. There are new opportunities to have new groups, to have younger faces and younger people serving in the church. Is this not something new where the Spirit is leading us? For several years already, we were trying to promote UBAS, Ugnayan ng Barangay at Simbahan. Suddenly, the UBAS has become a reality. There is greater cooperation and coordination with the LGUs and the barangay officials and the church. We help one another in giving ayuda, in community pantries or kindness stations, in motorcades, in vaccination, making our places available, encouraging people to be vaccinated. So all of a sudden, we have good rapport with the barangay officials, with the police, and with the church. Maintain this contact. This is something that we did not have before, or took a lot of pains to create this kind of contact. Now we see that we need one another, serving the same clientele. I am involved in among the lay groups because of the Council of the Laity, and I have been meeting many lay groups, and I could see that many lay groups are adjusting to this new situation. There are now Zoom household meetings. They continue to give Life in the Spirit seminars. There is a proliferation of Bible studies. There is family accompaniment and peer counseling. Conventions and conferences are being done. Many lay groups are adjusting. And those who cannot adjust just fade away. Let us uphold these groups and learn from them, from their creativity of trying to be in touch with people. They're even organizing big events online. So really, if we don't move along we will just be left by the roadsides. Another new thing that we realize, that parents are now more involved in the education of their children. For so long, many of our schools and our parishes have been trying to get the involvement of parents in education. But then parents would just say, we just send them to school and you take care. But now, with the online learning, parents have to be involved. So there is now cooperation between parents and the school, parents and the parishes. First Communion and confirmation preparations can be done at home with the parents. So this is also a ripe opportunity to offer parenting courses and to help parents to become educators. So in our schools, we don't only teach the children, we have also to teach the parents how to teach the children, how to follow up the children. Is this not something beautiful? No, that we can now influence more families rather than just children. Even as I've said, in the parishes, for our First Communion preparations, confirmation preparations, the parents can be very well involved in this preparation. Another new thing that comes out, that people are more mindful of their health. That really health is wealth. Before the pandemic, when speaking of the body, people were more concerned about beauty of the body, about the form of the body. Now, when people speak about the body, they don't care much about beauty or form. Anyway, they cannot go out. Anyway, they cannot put on makeup. Anyway, nobody can see their face. But they are now more concerned about being healthy, how to be resistant to the virus. And to become healthy now is not that expensive, is not that difficult. We don't need to go to spas. No, we don't need to go to good restaurants. Just simple food, sunlight, sleep, plain water, fruits, vegetables, simple things that are needed so that we become healthy. Let us be concerned about health more than about beauty. This is really something that stays. And also here we see that there is less consumerism. First of all, people are afraid to buy, to go out and buy. And they see that they have fewer needs and only the essential ones. You know, we had one celebration of Christmas without shopping and parties. It's possible pala to have Christmas without shopping and parties. We have celebrations of birthdays and anniversaries without much fanfares. Fiestas, no, without much bongga celebrations. We continue to celebrate, but in a more subdued way. Are we more liberated now from consumerism? Have we experienced this kind of liberation that we don't need to buy too much, too many things, too new things? We can get by and get by quite well without them. In our time, internet now is being recognized as an essential need. What with our work from home arrangements, online schooling, online shopping, online deliveries, and a new industry has come out the logistics industry. These are people who give delivery services by car, by truck, mostly by motorcycle, even by bicycle. So internet is recognized now as an essential need. With this essential need, what can the church do to serve the people? Can we offer them Wi-Fi? Can we offer them gadgets? Can we offer them our spaces that can be used for internet? Or to teach the poor and the elderly how to be connected online? So while we are concerned about offering our services online and improving our offering online, we should also help the people to be able to access our services. And we do that in so many ways. New apostolates probably. Maybe the SOCOM now, Social Communication Ministry, is not only concerned about producing materials, could also be concerned about helping people to have gadgets, to have Wi-Fi connections, opening our own spaces that they can use when they could not do so at home because of the noise, because of the distraction. They could not make home studies. They cannot make online studies in their homes, or online teaching, or online work. Can we open our own spaces for them? And teaching the poor and the elderly who are unfamiliar, who are afraid of the gadgets, how to make use of them. See, this is a new form of apostolate that we can do. During our time, traveling is very much limited now. There's always danger when we get into a bus, when we get into a train, when we get into a plane. And because we are somehow limited to move around, we see the importance of the local services, local products, local mutual help. That's why this time could be a boon for BECs, basic ecclesial communities. Could be a boon for neighbors helping one another, especially in time of sickness. There are even some neighbors who would make the shopping for the elderly neighbors. So neighborliness is an antidote to loneliness. So the challenge is how to create neighborliness in our own condominiums, in our own subdivisions, in our own neighborhood. And creating neighborliness is precisely what BECs are. So those groups with very strong BECs, they are able to address the situation of the lockdown much better. And in fact, the community pantries or the so-called kindness stations are very much promoted in areas where there is a lot of neighborliness. And strange to say, when we are so much hemmed in because of the pandemic, because of the quarantine, we are able to have more meetings and coordinate better our activities. Right now, it's easy to have a meeting if you just have the proper connection, the proper internet. We avoid the loss of time in traffic in order to attend meetings. Distance is no longer a problem. I realize that during these times, I have more and regular board meetings with the different groups I'm involved in. And there are better attendances too. And when properly done, discussions can be fruitful and done in lesser time than you have face-to-face meetings. And the meetings now are are less expensive than before. I could not travel out of the country, but I had several international meetings. It is just a matter of adjusting to different time zones. We could also get good speakers to speak in our conventions, even international ones. That's why with the lockdown, somehow we can coordinate better with other people and with one another. This is a new thing that we just realized now. Before, to organize a meeting, you have to go to a place. You have to take the plane. You have to take 2 hours of travel to cross Manila. But now it's so easy. Is this not something new, where the Spirit is leading us to see our situation? And then the pace of life is slower. And supposedly, because it is slower, because we don't move around so much, there is more time for interaction with those around us in the family. Before, our complaint is there is no time to rest, no time to sleep, no time to be with the family, no time to pray. But now we have a lot of time. Do we spend our time well, especially with our loved ones? Because of the curfew, the streets are less busy at 8 o'clock p.m. People have nowhere to go anyway. Hopefully, the slower pace of life can help people attend more to spiritual activities and to creating relationships with one another, especially in the home, especially in the neighborhood. So we can have a breather with a slower pace of life. Do we still want to go back to the rat race that we had been before? After this experience of a slower life and yet a more meaningful life? Because of the pandemic, people tend to help one another more. There is more charity. We are breaking out of our own shells. Now we realize that we cannot save ourselves if we do not save all. And a clear manifestation of this going out of our shells, of helping one another, are the community pantries or kindness stations that suddenly came out without anyone organizing them. It just came out. People helping one another. People being generous to those whom do they not know, but they know that they are in need. During this time of the pandemic, big businesses give out to charity to help their workers and to help the poor. How many promotions the business community give for their workers, and even for those who are poor. In the church, we have now richer parishes helping poorer parishes. parish with difficulties. Before, parishes were a kingdom unto itself. They don't share much resources, and they don't even open themselves up to be helped. But with the pandemic, people are humble enough to accept we need help. We can no longer maintain ourselves. And other parishes are giving out in the vicariates, helping one another for their personnel, for their maintenance costs. Is this not something beautiful? That we become more of a church because of this situation? So you see, the Spirit is blowing, helping people more generous in our times. So I would like you to reflect. Spend some time. Reflect over these questions. Which changes have happened in my life during this pandemic? Which changes have happened in my life in this pandemic? Can you list them down? What changes have happened in my parish or my small school community or my faith community during this pandemic? What are the changes that are happening in the way we run the parish, we run the schools, we run our communities? But the most important question is, which of these changes will I retain? Which of these changes will I retain? Pope Francis said, once again, that crisis cannot leave us the same. There will be new things that will come out because of the crisis. Will this be better or worse than before? So our situations now, will they bring new things or worse things? So which changes will I retain? Let us not lose this opportunity to change where the Spirit is leading us. On September 30, 2020, the Pope gave this talk in an audience. He said, we will be able to regenerate society, and not return to the so-called normality, which is an ailing normality. Indeed, which was ailing before the pandemic. The pandemic highlighted it. Now we return to normality. No, this will not do. Because this normality was sick with injustice, inequality, and environmental degradation. In the normality of the kingdom of God, there is bread for all, and more to spare, because social organization is based on contributing, sharing, and distributing, and not on possessing, excluding, and accumulating. Beautiful. A new situation that is based on contributing, sharing, and distributing. Is this not our kindness stations? And not on possessing, excluding, and accumulating, which has been the old normal. Let us not go back to this. So we are preparing for the gradual easing up of the pandemic. I hope this does not mean that we go back to what we had been doing before. But right now, let us try to organize the new things that will come about. Let us own them. Let us plan them. Let us organize them. They will not just happen. So that this experience of 1 year and a half will not be wasted. It's not just a time of waiting, but it's a time of gestation of the new reality of the kingdom that is upon us, where the Spirit is blowing and leading us.